All right, cool. So again, I'll say welcome everyone and welcome to tonight's session. Today, we are going to be taking a step forward. So last week we looked at who a business analyst is and what a business analyst does. Also, we looked at why. I hope everyone can hear me clearly. I just need someone to say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Right. So we also looked at why a business analyst will be important in today's world and the industry today. So we looked at all of that, and hopefully everyone has seen the reason why BAs are important. And if that's something you choose to go in as your career path, there are opportunities out there, several. All you need to do is to go online and Google, and you see several opportunities out there. But one other thing that I did show was that when you are dealing with a project, there are different stages. Well, when you look at Prince 2, it shows the different stages in the project on a very high level. And at the beginning of the project, before you initiate things, that's where you see a lot of people dealing with things like the business case. So unless you are joining the project very, very, very early, chances are that you will probably not work on a business case. Or it could be that once you join a project, maybe in the middle of the project or getting towards the end of the project you are on could actually cause you to write a business case, so that could lead to another project starting. So creating a business case, that's what we're going to be dealing with. And the first thing that we would like to settle is, what is a business case? It's very, very simple, not complicated at all. Sometimes I think pictures tells a thousand words, and you can see this picture here of a hammer. So that's more or less like a judge's hammer, and in this particular case, it's not just slamming the hammer down to give a verdict. In this case, it's slamming the hammer down on money to give a particular verdict. And what that's supposed to mean is that once the verdict comes, one of two things are going to occur. In a court of law, you probably be declared guilty or not guilty, which is very interesting because that supposes that there's already an assumption that whoever is there is guilty. In this particular case, there's going to be a verdict as to whether the organization is going to release more funds to whatever project or endeavor you were thinking of pursuing as a team or as an organization. So if we just try and put that into words, you would find out that a business case is basically a document that provides justification for a proposed project or undertaking on the basis of unexpected benefits. And that's basically what it is. It's a document. So if I go back to the previous example when we're talking about a judge, when you're in court and the judge is there, so there are two parties and each party is presenting their case. Obviously, you have the is it the accused, and you have the accuser, or you have the claimant and you have the defendant. And both of them are bringing reasons why the judge should give the verdict in their favor. And that's really what you're doing here. Your document is, at this particular point, trying to bring forth strong reasons for the organization to release funds or resources, because we do live in a society that has made resources limited, even though there's a lot of abundance in the world. But we live in a society that has made resources quite limited. And because resources are limited, what generally tends to happen is organizations would like to put those resources in the best place that will give them more opportunity or more returns on their investments. And that's why when you have this document, your document is basically looking at several things, and your document is coming to say, right, this is why I think you should put money in this. This is why I think you should invest in this. And if you invest in this, this is what you are going to get. So basically, again, you can see that a business case is just capturing a reason for initiating a project or initiating a particular task that you are going to be doing. And if you've done it, if you do it successfully, generally you would hear if you do it successfully, then you get that briefcase of money for the project. Now, there's another flip side to that, which is we are always talking about the fact that, yes, if you do it successfully, you get access to that pot of money. Sometimes a business case can also be successful if the business case proves that the pot of money is not needed, because someone could insist very much on spending an amount of money, which is the organization's funds, in a particular project or for a particular task. Now, you can actually write a business case to show that if this money goes into this, there's not going to be any yield that would be beneficial to the organization. So from that point of view, the business case is actually doing something, so which is preventing funds from going to waste. Obviously, that's probably not going to be called a business case or seen as a business case, but I just wanted you to see things from both point of view, that generally, while a business case is to get money for a project, a business case could also be a very good thing if it prevents the loss of money ahead of time, because that's really what it's trying to do. And I've kind of touched on why a business case is needed with some of the explanations that I've been giving right now. Also, I did show everyone this diagram the last time, where I was talking about SDLC, when SDLC goes wrong. Let me see if I can make this full screen, if it will make any difference. Just 1 second there. Okay, good. So I'm not sure what you guys are using, so hopefully this might be clearer on your screen. I hope when I do this now, I wouldn't get those lines that were coming up last week. And I did explain what generally tends to happen in projects from a software development point of view, and that's what the SD stands for, and LC is life cycle. And where the sponsor explains something, the project lead understands it a different way, then the analyst design it a different way. Obviously, programmers write it a different way, and your testers obviously are getting something that's probably crap, and their testing is practically zero. And you have all of that, whereby at the end, the customer needs something that's probably almost completely different from what the sponsor really explained. And in that case, because there's been a lot of changes there, unfortunately, the customer ends up bearing that cost. And that's something that businesses have the ability to do. They have the ability to pass down costs to customers. And when some of these services that the business is providing or goods are things that the customers can probably not do without, whether it's due to habit or due to other things, unfortunately, the customers will need to pay. So There's some good in the business case. Also, I also explained to you previously that you're dealing with resources here, whether it's money or effort. Now, money, obviously, money is very, very straightforward. You saw the briefcase of money that an organization can hand over to a particular project. That's very, very straightforward. But then there is also effort. And here you're looking at people's time. An organization can employ someone, and obviously they would employ that person for a particular job. And when they employ that person for that particular job, the person is doing that as their normal work. A project could start that requires that person's attention. It might not require their attention full time, 24 hours, but it might require their attention maybe 10% of their working hours during the day, or a certain portion of their time. Now, the organization needs to justify why that person would leave, in a sense, their primary responsibility, which they were employed to do and what they are being paid for, to go and do something else which has started newly within the organization. Because in this case, you're looking at value, really. What are we going to get from this? Whatever they are doing, is that going to be of more benefit than what we are telling the person to be involved with here? And obviously, all of these things, we consume them. Time is constantly being consumed every day. And that's something that we might not necessarily be able to replace within an individual's life. Money is also being consumed as well. So money, in some cases, you probably be able to replace it, but you replace it over a period of time. And so when you're dealing with the business case, really what you want is to deliver just enough information to enable decisions to be made. And that is more of an art than a science, because enough detail to different people, enough detail means different things to different people. One person or an organization might see enough detail as something quite massive, and for another, enough detail might be something that's just a few pages, maybe perhaps a page or two. So don't get hung up with how much detail is really meant to be there. It varies from organization to organization. Some organizations, especially when you're working within the government sector, for example, or if you're working within a secure project, maybe if you have something to do with the Ministry of Defense or the Ministry of Justice, this type of secure projects, or whether it's the Secret Service, as much as possible, they like to go into a lot of detail, which interestingly, it's not because they would read the details. It's more of let's dot our I's and let's cross our T's. That's more of where it's coming from, so that if something goes wrong, we would be able to say, these are the things we looked at and we actually did our checks. Because you find out that within the government sector, there is a lot of blame game that tends to happen a lot. Or maybe if you're working within the health industry as well, because what you're doing is very, very important. And in this case, maybe if you're dealing with a business, you probably lose money. Within the health sector, if you get something wrong, it may go beyond the loss of money. You may end up losing someone's life. So within those type of sectors, it might be important to probably go into much more detail than other sectors where they probably don't really care about the detail, because the detail is actually stopping people from doing their work. So I hope that explains what I've said there, that you just want to deliver enough value so that decisions will be made. That reminds me, while I was talking, I think I just wanted to ask, just in case, did anyone have any question? I think that's I should be starting this. Did anyone have any question from our previous class? You can probably ask now. Because I was thinking it's better we start with that, so that I probably don't get that at the end. If you have any questions from the previous class, you can ask. If not, fine, we go on. Now, if you don't feel like speaking and you just want to type the question, you can also type the question within the comments section, and I can pick that up. Okay, now, after this, there is something that I've been saying that you guys would have heard me say over and over again. And that is really what we are trying to get here is value. And that's what is more important, value. And again, value is relative. Value is relative for several reasons. People are different, people have different cultures, and people rate things differently. So but your business case is about getting the most value at that particular time to the organization. So one particular organization, getting a profit might be what is more valuable. So as long as the business case shows that there is profits to be made, that business case will get a pass mark. To another organization, money might not be it. The organization might have a lot of money and they are more concerned about, or they might not even have a lot of money, but they might just be so passionate about customer satisfaction that the business case, really for that business case to win, that business case has to be driven by customer satisfaction. So value again could be relative, but you definitely need to find out what is more important to the organization at that particular time. In another case, value could be like with GDPR that came this year. Value in that particular case is that the organization doesn't get fined. That you don't get fined because the GDPR law is a massive thorn in the flesh of any organization. I think they just try to find out how they can stick straws into organizations to bleed them dry, because the previous data regulation had fines, and obviously had fines up to a maximum of a certain limit, and that limit, a lot of organizations, they didn't really care because the limit was very poor, and when I say very poor, it was very cheap. So they could actually do something wrong on purpose, because when they look at how much fines they have to pay, they just think that's irrelevant. Which reminds me, I think there was a day I was going through some of the fines in Nigeria, and I was amazed, and I thought, this is very interesting. When you see some of the fines, I don't know if they've actually reviewed some of those numbers now, but there was a day I was reading about if you kept money within a bank within Nigeria, and the bank closes down, how much the bank, well, not really the bank has closed down. There's another body, and how much that body would pay you if you lost your money within the bank in case the bank liquidated or something. And I was very surprised. I think it was in the region of 15,000, if not much less. And I was totally shocked. And I thought, are you serious? So some of those numbers need to be reviewed, which in some cases it can be quite concerning for some people. And just if you think that Nigeria is the only person within that scenario, you also have UK as well. UK, I think UK is about 75,000. So again, well, no, while not a lot of people would get to that point where they probably have 75,000 within their accounts. That's for you to have 75,000 within your accounts, you must be doing something very, very right. A lot of people generally live from hand to mouth. But then again, you have people that you have quite a number of people that have a lot more than that. And just the thought of if a bank closes, that's the maximum you get for some people could be very, very concerning. Right. I'm guessing some people are having internet issues. I can see people dropping in and dropping out. I don't know their exact names, but okay. Or maybe they just came in to test what was going on. Right. Now, I spoke about this and I showed you this at the beginning, last class, to be much more specific, that basically there are different stages within the project, and you would have probably seen something very similar to this within your project management class. And this is basically showing 4 stages within your project. They are going to be called different things, like I said, in different organizations, but whatever they are called, at some point, you're going to be starting up a project. After that, you will initiate the project. After initiating it, you would obviously want to execute the project. And after executing it, you would want to close the project. Now, some of these stages could be broken further down into others, other stages, depending on the organization. And they may have things like gates within the organization. And I did also explain the difference between start and initiate, whereby starting a project could be like when you get into your car and you're trying to warm up the car, and you're checking everything, check the tires to see if the tires are okay, check if you have water within your radiator, and you're checking your oil levels and all of that. So those are things like more or less like preps. And after all of that, then initiating the project is more or less like driving of putting it into gear. Depending on how you see it, I could probably have given this example slightly differently, but just hopefully that helps you just see the slight difference, because you might just look at starting and initiating and I wonder what's the difference between those two. And I did say when you are starting up a project, that's when you most likely be working on the business case. So that's more of the preparation, things that you do before you even decide that a project is even going to exist or not. So 1 second, let me shut the door. Perfect. Right. So that leads us up. Actually, does anyone have any questions so far at the moment before we move into this next stage? Any? I'll take that to be a no. Right. Now, that takes us straight away into the business case components. And obviously, the business case has several components. Different people will probably tell you different things. And again, like I said, people write this differently. But generally, whatever anyone is telling you, you would find certain similarities or common traits between whatever within several people's business cases. And these common things are what you can actually see on the screen right now. So you can see here, a business case, generally, you would have an executive summary, which is just your summary, a summary of every other thing, every detail that you've been trying to explain within the document. And that's your executive summary. So generally tends to be a page or less, maybe half a page. So that summarizes everything that you want to say, because you are presenting that to the executives and you want something. Executives are generally very, very busy people, and before they look into the details that you actually want to provide them, they can scan through your summary and decide whether what you have to say within the document is actually worth their time. Because at a particular level in your life, your time is actually much more important to you than any other thing, because time is a limited resource that we spend, and human beings haven't found a way to extend life. So it seems to be fixed at a certain point. So you have that executive summary, which is usually the first part of the document, and which is very interesting. It's the first part of the document, but it's the last that is usually written. And that's obvious because I've started talking about this. Let me not get ahead of myself. Right. After that, you have your strategic case, and we'll get into what your strategic case is. And after your strategic case, you have your economic case. After your economic case, you have your commercial case. After that, you have your financial case. And after that, you have your project management case. And it's interesting that they're all being called cases, as though someone is actually in a court having a case. Right. So this is what you would have on a very high level. And when you start breaking things down and you start going in, you might start seeing some other things. Obviously, executive summary is still present there. You might also start seeing things like a problem statement. So a project could start or could kick off because of a problem that's currently happening within the organization. And because of that problem, a project is actually set up to provide a solution to that problem. So in that case, you would see some people write a problem statement. In some other cases, it's probably not a problem. It could just be an opportunity or an idea that the organization is willing to pursue. And in that case, you would just see something like different people could word this differently, but generally that's going to be the background. And the background is to give a context behind why the organization is doing what they are doing. Something that happens a lot within organizations, some of you may have observed this, some of you may not have observed it yet, is that, and that shows the importance of context. Many times you might be asking yourself within an organization, maybe you're working there at the moment and you're wondering, why are they doing things like this? Who in the world set up this process? Why was this application installed this way? Why was this machine designed this way? And you're wondering who did this way? And if you were able to go back in time to look at history, that may probably give you the answer that you were looking for, because you can look at that and think, oh, whoever did this, they didn't do a very, very good job. But then again, that depends on what the context was at that particular time when whatever was being done was done, or was delivered rather. So that context is very, very important. And like I said, so some of you might have observed certain things like that. Like for example, if I use tribal marks, it's we are currently living in a time where tribal marks are seen as, oh my God, how in the world would anyone Who's that?
Hello, sir.
Hello, hi.
Sorry, this is Ebenezer. Quick one, please. I just want to find out something. Based on what you just explained about the problem statement and the background based on the organization, I just want to find out, can we say, being a business analyst, can we say a business analyst identify opportunities and ways through which that organization can maximize their opportunities, or identifying problems that can be turned into opportunities and maximizing it? Or can we say that is part of what they do?
Oh yes, that's part of what you would definitely do as a business analyst.
Okay.
Yeah. So just again, it's the BA world is still big. It's still very wide. I guess as years go by, you may start having different segments within BA. When I say different segments, different recognized known segments, but BA is wide. But yes, that's part of a BA's responsibility. So in fact, in some cases, that's probably the only responsibility the BA will be doing. So it's wide. It's very wide. So hope that helps.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for the question. So yeah, so that deals with the problem statement and the background. And obviously, whatever solution you may want to provide to the organization may require some feasibility studies. You're trying to find out how feasible is what we're actually proposing that the organization will do. You will not have, or you may not necessarily have all the details in hand on ground, but to the best of your ability, you try and get as much information as you can to see how feasible the project's success will be. And again, if you're not able to sort of guarantee on paper that the project is going to be successful, it is usually much more difficult to guarantee that that project will be successful when you're actually implementing it. Because if you think about it, when you're using paper, you're actually making a lot of assumptions, and in a sense, a lot of the right assumptions. Once implementation starts, there are a lot of unknown risks that always comes in, a lot of unknown risks, several. So as much as possible, if you can get it right on paper, it makes your work better when you're implementing it without paper. So the paper is just like a guide. Also, depending on what you're doing, you might need to do a research. What market are you targeting? Are there specific demographics that you're going to be looking at? Are there specific age groups you're going to be looking at? Is it going to be just for one particular gender? Is it going to be people from a particular region? Is it going to be people from a particular culture? Is it going to be people with a certain habit? And this is where you're sort of trying to define within the e-commerce industry. This is where you hear things like niches, trying to find your niche. And this could be very, very important to an organization, because focus is very, very important for an organization. You cannot be everything to everyone. That business model is not a business model that can last. The business model would fail. The reason why a lot of organizations succeed is because they are very focused on what it is they are doing, and that focus is always there. The moment they lose that focus, then they begin to go into other directions. I mean, when you think of Jaguar, you know, when I say Jaguar, it's very interesting. The first thing that comes to your mind when I say Jaguar, well, two things may come to your mind, but I'm assuming the first thing that came to everyone's mind was a car, except if you studied maybe zoology or something relating to animals, then you would have actually thought of the animal itself. So And that's because Jaguar has done something. They found a focus. They found a focus on the market, and they really want to be providing a nice driving experience to people. And even when you're talking about a nice driving experience, different companies target. I mean, what is nice? Nice means different things to different people. When you think of Ferrari is also providing a car, like Jaguar is providing a car, but Ferrari has decided to focus on a certain market. So Ferrari has said, right, we know everyone likes to drive, but not everyone is equal. And since not everyone is equal, some people like to have something fast, something that's much more expensive, so that they can stand out from the rest. And they provide that. And that's their market. They don't try to go down and make the very, very cheap car. If they do that, they lose it. And then you have people like Honda. Honda has their market. Honda said, let's come in and let's ensure everybody as much as possible can afford a car. And they were very, very successful at doing that. So, and you can now see how people begin to sort of define themselves as an organization. And really, when you think about it, a lot of times, because here we are dealing with positioning here, it's not, a lot of times, it's not usually about the money. It's about when you call a name, what do people associate that name with? Which is very interesting. I think about, I keep using this example. I think about Five Alive. Things have changed now, but if you rewind a couple of years ago, I think about 3 years or more ago, when Five Alive came out within Nigeria, they were like the only ones that came in. And that's even something that's very, very interesting. Again, being the first in the market is a huge advantage. So Five Alive came out, and because they were the first, there was this natural association that people made with Five Alive, and it was an association that sort of meant Five Alive was the first and the best. Because they were the first, they were the best. So something along those lines. Now, while I'm saying now that they were the first, it's possible that there may have been other fruit juice making companies within Nigeria, but none of them really had mass impact as much as Five Alive. Five Alive were the ones that really, if you would say, took the bull by the horn and got the whole nation to sort of accept them as number one, as a juice making company, just like Coca-Cola does. Now, Five Alive juice then was from concentrates, and since their juice was from concentrate obviously it means from chemicals, so not from the real stuff. Their prices were very high, and interestingly, about the highest within the market. Now, there was another company that was called Funman, and they produce juice as well. It's Funman. So whether some people might call it Funman, some people might call it Funman, but we used to call it Funman, Funman fruit juice. Now, their own juice was actually not from concentrate. They were using the actual fruit itself. And they did something that was, whoever created this plan didn't really think about it very, very well. And the reason why I said the person didn't think about it very, very well, the person thought about it from a logical point of view, and the person just applied plain logic to whatever it is that they were doing. And the person didn't really think about customer behavior and things within that light. And what they did was, Funman, like I said, was made from actual juice, not from concentrate. But Funman's juice was actually cheaper in the market. And for me, that made perfect sense because I'm very, very logical and process. I have that logical process in the way I think. And I thought, oh, it's actually made from something that's real and much more healthy. Okay, and it's cheaper. That makes perfect sense. So as far as I am concerned, I would buy Funman ahead of Five Alive any day, anytime. That was just plain logic, and it made sense to me. But over the years, I found out that that plain sense of logic is not very, very common in the world. It is, interestingly, is actually so uncommon that a lot of people don't think like that. And that's because what I just said now, as simple as it was, it requires a little bit of thinking. And one of the things you start finding out about human beings, the older you get or the more you increase in age, is that human beings like to look for the shortest, the shortest path to anything. They like looking for shortcuts. So anything that involves a lot of thinking, for some reason, they try not to go in that path. And that's like the general attitude. And this is where I say Funman did something very, very wrong. Because their juice was better, their price was lower. That made logical sense. And that was like the strategy. We'll use that to wipe out the competition. But it doesn't actually make sense in a customer's mind. And the reason why it doesn't make sense in a customer's mind is the one that is better always costs more. And that is how the average mind thinks. The better one costs more. And so every time Five Alive was being sold much more than Funman, I mean, you go to weddings and you go to parties and you're going to see Five Alive juice on the table. It's there. And you're like, why did they not use Funman? I mean, for goodness sake, that is the more healthy option. But Five Alive everywhere. And that's just because Funman made a fundamental error as far as their pricing was concerned. And they priced themselves too cheap. For Funman to have actually stood a very, very fighting chance against Five Alive, they should have actually increased their price. If possible, to almost double what Five Alive was charging. Some might say, double. Who is going to buy it? Nobody will buy it. But, I mean, again, I spoke about Ferraris and Hondas. It really depends on who your target market is. Not a lot of people buy Ferraris. That does not mean that Ferrari is losing money. Yes. So, yes, exactly. People like to buy big brands in their mind. Yes. So, and that's it. If Funman had positioned themselves that way, customers would have actually bought Funman. Whenever they have an important function, they will buy the more expensive one. Whenever visitors come to the house, they will buy you the more expensive drink. I remember whenever we went to visit, whenever I went to visit my family visitations, friends, when I was younger, they would offer you soft drinks, and if you were very, very special, they would offer you Maltina, and that's the higher class. So it's that way we just as well. But that was like a fundamental error that Funman, I think, made. And while I was talking about this, because I went. I think when I was in Nigeria this year, I didn't see Funman juice. I don't even know if they exist again. I think I heard they liquidated, which is very sad. But they lost that opportunity. And now Five Alive is now making not from concentrate. You know, Chivita is also, so they don't have both brands. They have Five Alive from concentrate, Five Alive not from concentrate. They have Chivita from concentrate, Chivita not from concentrate, you know, and the rest like that. So Phoneman lost that opportunity. But even though I'm saying Phoneman lost that opportunity, in reality, the opportunity still exists for a juice company to come in and take that market. And that's because I'm going into several things now. Okay, I need to round up whatever I'm saying now. Let me just round it up this way. There's a disease that tends to affect many companies. And that disease is that once a company starts making money, the company forgets what made it successful in the first place. And they start losing their focus. And that disease is that focus that the companies lose. Once Five Alive starts dabbling in not from concentrate and concentrate, they are playing in a particular field whereby they are now causing opportunities for someone to come in and sort of give them a very hard time. Five Alive will always be recognized as a nice juice company. That's for now, except they do something completely wrong. But there is no company that has that association of we don't make anything from chemicals. Five Alive is saying we have both of them. But there is no company that have said we only make pure juice within Nigeria. I've not seen any company yet. I'm not aware of any company that's doing that yet. So there might be, but I'm not aware of them. So yes, hello.
Yeah, there are some companies that are already producing fresh juice that is not concentrated.
And that's the only thing they are doing.
That's the only thing they do.
Okay, that's good. So if they keep at it and if they expand it very, very well, what is going to happen is what you will find out is in the nearest future, those companies, that is their products you'll be seeing in weddings. That's if it's not already happening. But
the only challenge that they have is that the preservative life is very low because it's natural.
Yeah, that's fine. But that makes sense. And that's you are telling people, but their prices needs to be higher.
The price is so high needs to be, because to get maybe 50 cl or 60 cl is around 500 and something higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there is this other one as well, the tiger nuts processed with dates and coconuts, and it's sold for as much as about 1,000 naira for just 50 cl.
Yeah.
Natural.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's actually very, very brilliant. So they should not target the mass. They should not target everybody. They should target specific people. They should target certain people within certain communities that have the means to buy it. And those should be their main targets. And they should position it in such a way, like if you know what's up, and if you care about your health and you are really the reigning person in town, this is what you'll be drinking. If they do that, that's it. People will associate that brand with healthy living and with a successful lifestyle. Everyone would always want to get that. It's that way. That's why companies, they always like to buy the top person in any game or any sporting event. It's a very unique strategy that works every time, every single time. So if they just keep at it, it's just a matter of time. Five Alive may be enjoying whatever it is they're enjoying right now, but they will lose that market if those guys remain very, very focused. So that's it. So let me leave that area now. Sometimes I get slightly carried away when I get into that particular area. Strategic analysis, there are different ways you can analyze strategies within the organization. You could use SWOT, PESTEL, competitive profiling. I think I still have this in front, in the slides in front, so I'll still get to them. You could also try and check the advantage, the competitive advantage you have, your USP, that's your unique selling points. You have your McKinsey's 7 S's as well. So all of those, they are different. So that it doesn't mean you should use all of them. You just check if they are needful at that particular time. You could also perform a risk assessment as well. The other things that you could deal with, you have deliverables within your projects, and you could prioritize those deliverables as well. And you could prioritize them using, there's something called Moscow's prioritization. That's must have, should have, could have, and won't have. Sometimes you might also want to look at your organizational structure as well. You might want to look at governance within the organization, communication. Whenever there are changes, how are your changes controlled? What do you perform an audit on the resources that you have, whether you have the right resources to do what you want to do? Are there any quality requirements that the project would need to abide by? Are there budget? What is the budget going to be, or are there budget constraints? Does the organization even have the money to do what you are even proposing that the organization does? And obviously, you now want to look at the cost and benefit analysis as well. What's this project going to cost us? What's the benefit going to be? And then you compare both of them. And in some cases, you might want to look at the different options you have and do an appraisal to see which of them will be best. And obviously, you evaluate all of this. So these are things that you're doing within your business case. And this is where we now start trying to get into specifics slightly. So I won't be able to go into them into much detail, but at the end of our class, everyone will have a task, and hopefully during your time, you can actually go into them, and you can probably get some more information as well. After the executive summary, the next thing that I had in the slide was the strategic case. And in your strategic case, as it says, you are basically looking at the overview of your project or your program, and you're trying to see how it will meet the aims or the objective of your company as a whole, because everything you're doing within your organization needs to be strategic, and there needs to be a strategy behind it. So you probably, in some cases, you might want to look at the organization itself, what the organization stands for. And you might want to look at your project objectives, and you're checking this to see if those objectives are in line with what the organization stands for, or the body stands for. Obviously, you might also want to look at, are there any current issues or shortcomings with what you currently have within the organization? Is there a business need, or are there current gaps within the service? You know, whenever you hear people complaining about something, and they're complaining constantly and consistently, that is a very massive opportunity. And it takes trained people to see that as an opportunity. Generally, people join them to also complain. And, you know, it becomes gist. But trained ears and minds actually see that as an opportunity. And they try, in some cases, they try to see how they can even make profit from that opportunity. So you might also want to look at requirements as well. What is required, what the project wants to do. Is what's the impact of this project going to be on the organization? Are there other strategic delivery options that are available? You might want to look at that. And did you have certain constraints as well? And in terms of looking at your strategic case, there are tools that could help you to actually look at this. And there are different tools there. You can see your SWOT. A lot of people are aware of SWOT, of your SWOT analysis, and that is your strengths, your weaknesses, you've got opportunities, and you've got threats. And you can see there that your SWOT basically helps you to discover new opportunities within the organization and to manage or eliminate threats that you have. Also, you have Porter's 5 forces. Porter's 5 forces here helps you to look at the competitive forces that are within the market, and you want to look at how strong the competition is so that you can see if you can maximize your profit. There are also external factors you may want to look at, and some of these you could have you could perform a PESTEL analysis or a PESTEL analysis. I'll get into the slide that gives what the acronym is. That's an acronym. You have your critical success factor, what really matters for that project to be successful. Your unique selling point, that's your competitive advantage. You could also do a Boston's metrics with if you are providing certain products and you want to place your product to see where your product is, whether it's a cash cow or a dog. You could also do a VMOST analysis, and that your VMOST analysis is to try and ensure your vision, your mission, your objective, your strategies, and your tactics, they all align. So it's not compulsory you use all of them. This is just to let you know there are tools out there that you can use. And if you want to see more tools, there's a link there. You can see mindtools.com/pages/main. I'm assuming that link is still accurate. If not, if you go to mindtools.com, you'll be able to navigate your way and you see strategic tools. There are several of them, and in different industries, the strategic tools could be different as well. SWOT analysis, a lot of you know it. So like I've said, you're looking at your strengths, your weaknesses within the organization. Strengths and weaknesses are internal to the organization. So what are the internal things that are helpful to helping you achieve your objectives? Those are your strengths. What are the internal things within the organization that are harmful to achieving your objective? Those are weaknesses. Or what are external things that are outside the organization that are helpful to help you achieve your objective? Those are opportunities. Are there external things that are harmful? Those are threats. Like when GDPR came, GDPR was like something external. That was a threat to organizations as far as data protection was concerned. And in some people's case, GDPR was an opportunity because they had the knowledge and they knew what to do to ensure to help companies become compliant. And so even though it was external, it was an opportunity for them to get better paying jobs, high paying jobs, and to also help organizations as well to get to that particular point. PESTEL analysis, you have P there for political, E for economic, S for social, T for technological, L for legal, and E for environmental. And you can see that political, you are trying to look at political stability. And this is where I'm saying detail varies. It doesn't mean when you're writing a business case, you're not going to start writing on all of these things. It really depends. It's if it's important or not. In some cases, it's important. In other cases, it's not. But in some cases, you might want to look at political stability. Whenever external people outside Nigeria want to come and invest in Nigeria, one of the things they always consider is political stability, whether the nation is stable as far as that is concerned, because they are more concerned about can we get our money back before we even start thinking about profits. Let's be sure our money is secure and our money is safe. If you are within Nigeria, you may not be as bothered because you've been living there you already sort of know what the political nature is. And while it might seem unstable to others, because you've been there, you think, yeah, at least I've been here, it's manageable and you can deal with it. Things like regulations, statutes, government funding, all those things could affect whatever it is you want to do. So you may want to look at that. You want to look at your economic factors. Are there economic trends, things that could affect you? Are there exchange rate issues? If you're going to be trading internationally, that could be a factor. Maybe trade agreements that could influence or stop whatever it is you want to do. That could also be something you might want to look at as well. Whether they are local or international trade agreements. Consumer confidence, that's another one. I was just talking to you about how people behave and how people value certain products over other products, not because the product is better, but just because the product is perceived to be better. Social things like demographics, consumers' attitudes, social influencers. I mean, nowadays everyone is on their apps, on their phone. If you come today with a solution that involves pen and paper, there's a very high chance you will not reach this current generation because everything they want to do is online. So I say everything they, as though I'm in a very different generation. I'm more or less in between. All right. So you have technological factors as well. Are there new inventions? I mean, you guys are dealing with machine learning now. It's not even as if machine learning is something that's new, but it's something that's trendy right now. It's always been there in smaller ways, and then there are people that have been looking at it their whole life. But it's a trend now. People talking about machine learning, AI, and the reason why it's a trend now is because people are now making money with it. So the money has gone in there right now. So things like that could also affect. And like I said, you could also look at environmental factors and legal factors as well. Right. Also, you have your Potter's 5 forces. And here we are dealing with the competitive nature of where you are. Or where your business is. And really, these are the 5 forces that you may want to consider if you want to write a business case. You might want to think about what is the bargaining power of your supplier. If your supplier has a lot of bargaining power, they will be the ones practically ruling and determining what is happening. So that's something that you may want to consider. If your suppliers have a lot of power, they can decide to put you in business or take you out of business. So sometimes I think tanker drivers, they do that. But that's another story. Bargaining power of your customers. Obviously, if you are targeting higher class customers, they have more resources, and therefore they can, you have a large amount to play with and bargain with. If your customers are those of the lower wage, then that's slightly different. With those guys that are selling 50 cl juice for 1,000 naira, when someone's salary is 15,000 a month, he's not going to buy the juice, or she's not going to buy the juice, no matter what you tell the person. Are there threats of new entrants? Sometimes this could be something that you may want to consider. You might get into a business and it might be working and everything is nice, and you find out that the same way you enter that business, 1 million other people can enter the business. That could be an issue, because that could mean that you may not have the opportunity to really gain as much ground as you want to gain or cover within the market that you are in. I think now it's slightly better. Also, a few years ago, probably about 10 years ago, almost anybody could just make pure water. They would just carry a bag, stick a label on it, and go and start selling it. Dora King Louis did a very good job then, trying to bring, trying to ensure that those fake pure waters in quotes went out. So they did a very, very, very good job, I think. So you have that. You may want to consider that as well. Also, are there threats of substitute products? Substitute products could mean something that's completely different. Now, which is very interesting. We're taking it to a story. I'll see if I can make this story short. There was a cinema company that wanted to come into a particular place, and when they came in there, they found out that there was no cinema within that particular place. Oh my goodness, how can there be no cinema within this city? And they thought, wow, this is good, and that's a very, very good opportunity and a very nice opportunity. So they were going to be the first. Always good to be the first. So it gives you certain advantages. So they were there, they were the first. But obviously, in terms of writing their business case, they were trying to think who their competitor was going to be. And they decided to have the cinema at a very, very good location, just in front of the beach. Very, very perfect, and amazing. And one day they were trying to sit down and thought, who are our competitors going to be? And they struggled and couldn't really decide who their competitor was going to be because there was no other cinema there. And so this is what I'm going to ask you guys. Who do you think their competitor was going to be? Anybody?
The beach.
The what?
The beach.
The beach. Really? Why?
I could want to just go have a nice time on the beach than having to go watch movies.
That is very, very true. Very, very true. So the beach could actually be a competition with them. So in the end, someone figured that out, that the beach could actually be a competitor. Like you said, someone could decide, I'm not going to the cinema, I just want to go to the beach. People selling DVD on YouTube. That's now. DVDs on YouTube hasn't on Netflix. Oh yes, Netflix has done something that has really gotten cinemas very, very concerned. Very, very concerned. Netflix tilted the game. They did. In fact, actually, Netflix didn't damage cinemas as much as they dealt with blockbusters. They practically finished blockbusters. All those DVD companies, Netflix just killed them instantly. But if you notice, if you go to cinemas now, I don't know how it is within Nigeria, but cinemas within UK are rebranding. They are rebranding themselves. And if you go into cinemas, they are now positioning themselves as, before they used to position themselves as, come here, you watch the latest film. Okay. I'm not sure if someone else to speak there. If you can mute yourself, please. Now, they are now positioning themselves as a big screen. I'm not sure if anyone has gone to the cinema, you would have recognized that they are not positioning themselves as big screen. I need to find who's doing that and mute you. Who's that? Thank you.
It's Aminu.
Aminu. Okay, he's gone on mute now. Right. So they're not positioning themselves as big screen. Which is very interesting, and they are trying to tell people, no matter what you do, you're not going to have a big screen at home. And how many people can really afford a big screen in their house? No matter how big your screen is whatever, how many inches do you have? 50 inch,
Hello, Mr. Shu.
He said, yeah?
Yeah, please, I want to find out, based on the question you just asked, take for example that it's another line of business, and you're trying to go to a green place where a business the type of business you're trying to establish has never existed. So you're trying to consider these Potter's five forces, trying to, what is the proper way, as in how can you figure out who your competitors, your future competitors will be, and how do you go about figuring it out to know whom your future competitors will be, and analyze to guide against that? Thank you.
You look around, or you go into history. There is I'm going to quote something now. So some of you know, I've heard it before. It says, that which has been shall be again, and there is nothing that is new under the sun. A guy called Solomon said that there is nothing in this world that is new. Everything is the same. It just appears different, but everything is the same. When you sit down and you think about it very critically, everything is entirely the same. So, but like I said, what you want to do is to go into history and look at history. It might not be the history of that particular location that you're in. You could look at another location and you look at what happened. Has someone done what you are trying to do within another place? Look at what they did and look at the issues that they faced, or look at their competitors that they actually that came. When you're dealing with future competition, that's a very, very difficult one. You might never really know who your future competition is going to be. The best way to predict the future is to make it. And that's what these guys are constantly doing. Gillette with their shaving sticks. Oh my goodness. They make it practically difficult for any shaving company to come in and take over. They constantly they are competing against themselves. It's very interesting. Always competing against themselves. So the best way, if you want to predict the future, just keep competing against yourself. I think Apple had that at one time. I don't think they have it again. Even though I've never really been much of an Apple fan, because I just didn't like the idea of once you use Apple, your life had to be sort of restricted and you couldn't bring other things to connect to it. But that doesn't deny the fact that Apple was a game changer. Once they came in and they changed things. They caused the market to wake up in a completely different way. So, and the more Apple did that, the more they kept competing with themselves. They brought their iPod. My goodness, before we used to carry those big CD players, with the discs. Hefty thing. There's no way if you are carrying that and the thief would not recognize it. I mean, with an iPod, so tiny as it was then, even those that were as little as 2 gigabytes, and that contained a lot of songs. Why? That was just very, very amazing. And your battery would last longer, not like with your CD players. You keep buying Duracell. I can't remember how many Duracell batteries I bought. And imagine how many CDs you always have to carry around again, and then put this CD in, swap it, and then you go and do your mix yourself. Whereas you could just do that with your iPod. And that was even the iPod that didn't have a screen. And then they now brought the one that had a screen. Oh my God, oh, they just kept changing things. Now, I think now everyone is playing. You just keep seeing the next brand or the next the latest model, and they are honestly they are playing the latest model. They increase the screen small. They make the camera better. Well, some people are their customers for life, and they're not going to win me with that. So I hope that helped. I know it wasn't really specific, but I did give you a very valuable tip there.
Yeah. You tried. Because I was thinking of another thing. That's why I asked.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, and I've got to rush. Right, so you've got competitive rivalry within an industry. There are some industries that make it very difficult for anybody to enter. Very good example, Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Oh, for you to enter that market, you have to be very strong. Any cola that wants to enter now, when you think about the fact you are going to compete against Coca-Cola and Pepsi, or Fanta and Mirinda. Funny enough, I don't even see Mirinda that much anymore. But you would think twice. Or Sprite and 7-Up. You know, these guys have so taken over. They're so taken over those particular places. The only thing might just to bring something completely different. You know, completely different. Monster did it with Red Bull. Red Bull came, this tiny soft drink, you know, that by the time you take it like this, wow, you won't sleep again. Other competitors try to start copying them, Powerhouse and the rest, and none of them were really making as much wave. And then somebody called Monster came and thought, let's increase the size of the can. Let's almost double the size of the can. And they did that, and boom, a lot of people started buying it. So, and they also became a major competitor. So anyway, that happens within markets. For some reason, I've gotten interested in marketing, which is quite odd. I would not have considered myself a marketer. Okay, Ansoff's metrics. In Ansoff's metrics, you are trying to you look at your y-axis and your x-axis, and you're basically looking at four things there. You're looking at the existing markets or new markets, and you're looking at existing products and new products. So you're basically trying to say, do we want to bring a new the bottom left is with the one that is green. Do you want to bring an existing product into an existing market? If you are trying to do that, you are trying to penetrate the market and to get deeper within that market, you know, and that's what Coca-Cola does that a lot. I would also say something that Coca-Cola does as well. I guess I'll just use them because they seem to be good here, even though I think they're losing their focus as well. Existing products within new markets. So you might want to take an existing product and then go and serve it to a new market. And Coca-Cola is also doing this as well. They are now taking their products and they are trying to market it to the younger generation to make it funky. And they are making iced, you know, they have this iced flavored drink, and they're trying to make the Coke iced like that again. I don't recall the full name they call those things. So it's basically taking the same existing product, but taking it into a new market where they probably didn't have as much influence. Or you could decide to bring a new product into an existing market. So you already know people drink Coca-Cola, and you are thinking, okay, why they drink Coca-Cola? Let's give them some new flavors so that they have more options to choose from. And then suddenly you have Coca-Cola Cherry, Coca-Cola. There are many, but I don't know why Cherry is the only one that came to my mind now. Okay, Diet Coke. Diet Coke. Coke had personalized stuff on the can. Yes. Personalized names on the can and things like that. So that's taking an existing product into a new market. Someone that may not necessarily have drank Coke just because they saw their name on the Coke, they bought it, you know, things like that. Or taking, and when you take a new product into an existing market, you are trying to develop that product. When you take an existing product into a new market, you are trying to develop the market. When you are taking a new product into a new market, you are trying to diversify. So, depending on what you are doing, you may want to do that. Boston metrics, I'll just be running through this. You don't really need everything, like I said, but just so that you're aware of them. Boston metrics is dealing with your products. What is your product? Is your product a star? Is it a cash cow? Is it a dog? Or is it a problem child? Or in this case, a question mark? Stars are, you know, the ones that are gaining a lot of growth within the market. You're not necessarily making profits, you know, but it's making waves. And you have a lot of some businesses that are like that. Everyone knows about them, but they are not making money. They are stars, which is very interesting. A lot of celebrities are like that. A lot of celebrities are very popular, but they have no money. It's their managers. It's their managers that actually have the money. Celebrities themselves are just very popular. So you could have a product that's a star. What you do in that particular case is you want to hold the star and just keep managing it until it becomes a cash cow. Now, what's a cash cow? A cash cow is when you have a product that is not gaining as much growth within the market again, but boy, oh boy, that product is bringing you money. So what you want to do with your cash cows is you just want to keep harvesting and keep milking the cow until the cow is dead. You know? So you just want to keep milking it. And generally, your stars tend to become your cows, your cash cows. And your cash cows, after a certain point, like I said, once the cow is useless and it's not producing milk anymore, there are only two things left for the cow. Is either to kill it or to turn it to meat. So at that point, it becomes a dog. So it's not really growing and it's not giving you a profit. You want to kill that particular product. Now, outside all these three, you could also have something that's supposed to be a star that's actually gaining high market growth, but it's consuming a lot of money, almost to the point that it may even be causing you a loss. And some businesses operate that way. They are pumping money into something, and someone said that soon. You're pumping money into something, and we are waiting to see the returns from it, and you're not even breaking even. You may want to look at that one closely, because that's like a problem child. So sometimes if you have several products, Boston metrics might help you to classify your products and to see what your products are. My goodness, I'm almost just halfway. This is going to be interesting. All right, VMOST analysis, I've already told you what this is: vision, mission, objective, strategy, and tactic, and how each and every one of these relates with each other. So that is what you want to look at. What's the vision of the company? What's its mission? What's its objective? Or what are its objectives, rather? What are the strategies and what are the tactics? So sometimes you find out within organizations, all of these things are facing very different directions. And if all of them are facing very different directions, two people cannot work together unless they agree. It's the same in companies. So if your vision, your mission are going in different directions, the company is not going anywhere. So yeah, so you can see this. This just tries to give you an idea. So these three at the bottom here: your mission, your strategy, and your tactics are means to an end. So these are means: mission, strategies, tactics are means to your end. Your end here is your vision or your objective. And you can see your vision is made operative by your mission. So your mission helps you to achieve your mission. Now, when you want to quantify your mission, you do that by having objectives. So your objectives helps you to quantify your mission. Your strategies drives your objectives, and your tactics helps you to implement your strategies. So that's just something, a nice diagram to help you sort of put all of that together. Right, we've gone to feasibility studies, and I've explained that to you. How practical is the proposed project going to be? Maybe from a financial point of view, from a technical point of view, from an economic point of view, of maybe if you want to perform resource audits as well. You are still going to perform resource audits within your business case anyway. So that's a different one on its own. I could easily create this diagram. I didn't want to. I saw someone that had created it, so I just stuck the person's diagram there with their name. So I took a look at, I'm not stealing their diagram, so they are there. But nice diagram, resource audit. You're looking at the company. A company has several resources: financial resources, physical resources, human resources. A reputation is also a resource as well. And the knowledge within the organization is also important. So all of this could be resources, and believe it or not, they could be very, very valuable. A lot of people just focus on financial. There could be other resources that the company has that are much more valuable than the financial resource. Reputation, for one, is very important. No matter how much money you have, if your reputation is questionable, it could turn your money into nothing. So if you're thinking of performing that analysis, that's something you might want to look at. What about your economic case? Everything we've just been talking about is almost in the line of strategic case. My goodness. Now we are in economic case. And how is everyone? Are your minds still very, very fresh? Is everyone still with me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I was expecting maybe an excited yes, but okay, I'll assume everyone has been at work, so yeah, you're feeling slightly tired. But okay, if anyone is feeling tired already, let me know. So you've got economic case. I'm really trying to decide now. I want us to finish all of this. Okay. Right, economic case. So economic case is basically trying to deal with your costs and benefits as far as this project is going to be concerned. Weighing both of them and trying to see whether that's going to the project is going to be successful from that point of view. You're looking at your costs, you're looking at your benefits. Could be financial, like I said. It's possible it might not be financial, and you're evaluating your options as well. So with your economic case, you probably want to start with the different options that you have. What are the different options that you have, the different solutions that you're proposing? You look at those different options, your different options, again, like I've said. You have your solution. You probably want to have one or two. And there should always be a third option. And that option is, what if we do nothing? That option should always be there. Sometimes doing nothing is probably better for the business. So whatever solution you want to provide that solution. Even if it is only one option you have, compare that solution with actually doing nothing. If things stay the way they currently are, look at the cost and benefits of both of them. So you look at your options, you analyze the different options you have. What are the things that the organization will consider as its critical success factors? That also guides you in trying to choose which option will be best. And like I said, you're looking at the costs. Whatever it is, if you're within the organization, you have certain running costs. How much is it costing you at the moment, and what is your benefits? Okay. Okay. Someone just sent me a message. I'm not sure who it is exactly, but okay, that's fine. I've seen the message. I think I might know who. So, also, you have your net present value. That's NPV. Net present value is trying to look at the amount considering inflation. 100 naira. Everybody should know this one. 100 naira this year is, if I'm not, let me say 100 naira before Buhari entered is definitely not the same as 100 naira when Buhari entered. Everybody is aware of how prices increased. Whoever caused the price increase right now is irrelevant. But I'm just using Buhari as because it happened during his tenure. But 100 naira is definitely not the same. I carried some pounds and I wanted to change it with my dad, and It was a very funny experience. When he heard the current exchange rate, you know, and how now it's close to 500 naira, he was very concerned. He was very, very concerned. He was very concerned because it suddenly felt like I was giving him, you know, very little money, and he was transferring quite a lot of money into my account. So a lot of naira into my account. So net present value just tries to look at things from that point of view. Also, I've explained what cost benefit analysis is. This is just trying to guide you how you probably want to perform your cost benefit analysis. You might want to brainstorm, assign a monetary value to your cost, and assign a monetary value to your benefits. Sometimes your benefits might not have monetary value, but try and see how you can put a monetary value to it. This is just guiding you and giving you an approach to appraising the options that you have. You may decide to use this, you might not decide to use this. This is just a guide. Not everybody uses this. This is another guide as well. This is just trying to make it much more technical. You know, for those that just deal with this particular aspect, maybe if that's your job, obviously, like I said, you probably want to go deeper. Like I said, the different options you're going to have. You have different options, and you can see here option 1, or it could be option 3. Whatever option number it is irrelevant, but it should be there. Number 1, do nothing or do minimum. That should always be there. And then option 2, there could be different things. Do you want to develop the solution in-house? Do you want to outsource the solution? What are the costs and what are the benefits? Look at them. You know, and once you do that, you decide. And I give an example here. Doing nothing could be you currently rent, keep staying in your current accommodation and keep renting. Option 2, do you want to develop an in-house solution? Do you want to rent a bigger house? Or rather, no, that should be, do you want to buy a house? That would be an in-house solution. And if you want to outsource it, do you want to rent a bigger house and let an estate manager be dealing with that for you? So you could do that. Whoosh. I'm guessing people's lines are going. And then you could also classify the different options here. Okay, there's enough time to go through this. You have your commercial case. Your commercial case is basically dealing with, oh, by the way, when you guys are going to do this, which is, like I said, at the end of this, I'm going to tell everyone to do something. You can listen to all these things and listen to it. Unless you start doing it, it's probably not going to stick. So I might understand it might, for some people, it might be a lot of information. For others, it might probably just be a refresher. But once you get into the task itself, that should make things better. Right, your commercial case, you're trying to look at the commercial viability of the option that you've chosen. Your economic option, you're looking at the different options that you have. Now that you've looked at the different options that you have and you've sort of guessed which one you're most likely going to go for, your preferred option. Now you're now trying to look at this. Is this commercially viable? You know, are you going to even be able to fund this as an organization? How are you going to buy whatever it is you need to buy? You know, what's your procurement strategy? Is there even a procurement strategy at all? Where are you going to buy it from? These lines have started coming again. Very interesting. That's not good. Not good at all. At all. Let's see. Okay, man. Okay, let me expand that. Right. Okay. So you could also have your risk allocation as well. What risks would this particular option that you've chosen bring? And what do you want to do to that particular risk? Are there personal issues that you may be concerned about? What's the implementation timescale going to be? Would it require support? I said support is something that's usually neglected, so I'm glad that's there. I'm saying it like I didn't type it there. Financial case. Now you're not trying to say what is the present cash flow going to be for the project? What are the funding requirements going to be? Are you going to get the money all at once? Is the money going to come to you in phases? What's going to happen? Is there a budget allocation? Is the budget even available? How are you going to get funded? Is it going to be fully funded by the organization? Is it going to be part funded by the organization and the government? What is going to happen? You probably want to put that there and be quite sure of where your money is coming from for the project. Otherwise, you may not have money to complete the project in the future. And like I said, all of this planning on paper makes your work easier when you start implementing, because when you're implementing, there are many things you would not have planned for. And your project management case. So for those of you that have been doing project management, see, it's important within the business case as well. You've dealt with things from a strategic point of view, which is good. You've dealt with things from an economic point of view. You've seen your different options, and now you've seen your option that you've chosen is commercially viable. Now let's talk about the project. How is this project going to be managed? Is it going to be managed using the traditional way? Is it going to be managed using an agile framework? So what agile framework are you going to use? There are many: Scrum, DSDN, XP. Which one are you going to use? FDD, CDD. Be my guest. Choose. Anyway, this is where you decide. What's the framework? What's the project structure? Is there an organizational chart? What's the high-level project plan? And by high level, that's very, very high level. You can't go into details right now because you have no clue, unless you've done it before, unless you have no clue what you're really getting into. What's your approach going to be as far as project reporting is going to be concerned? It could just be a simple, we are using Prince tools methodology. Yay. Is there going to be a risk management strategy? Because there will always be risks, always, guaranteed. You can never run away from it. It's guaranteed to happen. If there's one thing that is sure, people say is change. And if there's one thing that's also sure, is problems. And we are guaranteed of problems in life. And depending on what we do with the problems, we are also guaranteed on the opportunities that the problems will bring us. That's basically it, really, when you're dealing with your business case. Are there any questions? I have some slides here, which I think are bonus slides, but are there any questions? Let me just breeze through them. Yeah, these are just very simple things. These are bonus slides. They're not important. Hello? Is anyone still awake?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Okay.
Like one of the slides you called the bonus slide is there's a business case versus business plan.
That's supposed to be me to ask you. Yes, I'm listening.
I want to ask a question regarding that now.
Yes.
Now this is like let's say a theory being put in place. You want to create a solution, like a business solution for, it's not basically for an organization, probably for multiple organizations.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm listening.
Still be categorized as a business case or a business plan. I said, is it like now, let's say you want to develop a solution now, probably for hospitals.
Right.
So now we know that it's going to involve more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hospitals. Are we going to categorize it that, okay, this what we're going to do now, is it going to be a business case or a business plan?
When you're looking at it from, you said different hospitals,
Yes.
what are you providing to the hospitals? And who are you?
Okay, it's an IT firm, that does solutions. So basically, what they want to do into the hospital is provide a solution to automate some systems in the hospital and provide probably database system for them to be able to automate their records and be able to pull our records easier and faster.
So if you're already aware of what it is you're probably trying to produce, that is more or less tilting to the line of a business case.
But Mr. Shaw, why
Yeah.
isn't that supposed to be a proposal that details the journey of the project instead of a business case? Since business case, we actually talks about the viability of the project. So
Yeah.
I think in that regard, if it's going to be a multiple hospital, why that can be likened to a proposal. Then once the proposal has been accepted, that is when a business case will not be designed, telling them if this is being done, just like a justification for embarking on that business. Then if you're talking about business plan is trying to look at the business at scale, looking at the overall business, the vision of the companies, the main goal of the companies. Then I think that is what that relates based on my own.
Oh yes, I agree with you. So that's why I use the word tilting. Because in this case, I didn't really hear him say proposal, but in this case, he was sounding like he already sort of knew what he was going to provide to these people. It's maybe I should have asked for more questions, for more information, because it's. Yeah, but yes, I agree with you. Okay, I'm not sure who's trying to speak. Hello, yes. Hello.
Okay, this is Victor. Hello, this is Victor.
Okay, hi Victor. The line isn't really clear, so
Yeah.
try and listen.
Oh, apologies. I think it's the network.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to speak to that, the issue of the business case and the business plan. The second speaker actually said something similar to what I wanted to say, because I'm actually a project manager working with an IT firm too. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get the concept of what is trying to paint in the question. If we are trying to make a something, that means we are trying to convince either the management or some partners that there is something worthwhile in this presentation. For example, we are trying to show them that, okay, there's an innovation that we are rolling out or that we want to roll out. And we are trying to convince them, make them see that there is a case, there is something that they need to probably invest their money in. Whereas a business plan, of course, is something that, you know that this thing is already on point, it's working. Or maybe they ask you for a plan that what you have presented to them, a plan that will make it work. So I think it's more like a progression from a business case to a business plan now. Hello?
Now you are now coming from a you are coming from a different. You are coming from a different point of view now. So you're coming from a point of view that once you've done the business case, then you now have the plan, which is like the things that you need to do to. So this isn't that plan. Now this is not the plan that I'm referring to. But I understand what you're saying here.
Hello, hello, sir. Hello, sir.
This is English problem.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir. So, what is the difference between a business case and a business plan? Because from the discussion so far, it's as if Ebenezer is saying for your business case, it's more or less like a proposal, trying to give reasons for the justification of X, Y, Z, why this has to be done. Then maybe for your business plan, it's now a working blueprint that is hinged on your business case. So now in your own definition, what's a business case? What is a business plan?
Now, so in terms of the plan, now you are probably looking at it from two different points of view. So that plan that you are referring to, which is the step by step of what you are going to do. In this case, we generally tend to call that the project plan. I can see things from that point of view, whereby you do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know, and that's from a project point of view. But I don't really see that as the business plan in itself. So once you have the business case, which kicks off the project, you now have the plan of the detailed steps that you're sort of going to take. So I see that more of the project plan than the business plan. But then again, I guess English can be used differently in different places. But very simply, if I move to that slide, when you think about the business case and the business plan, generally people that generally tend to write business plans are people that are going into a business opportunity, right?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
they're going into a business opportunity there. They've seen like a void within the market, and they have a plan, and they are thinking of what they are going to do within that particular business. And you can see that, and that's what this is actually trying to differentiate from that point of view. That's
Hello, Mr. Shah.
hello,
Maybe
yes.
to further help us understand this, business plan is an internal map that details the journey to the success of your business. While business case is what you as a business analyst present to the management, probably having identified an opportunities through which value can be added to the company, either in cash or in other way. That is business case.
Yep.
But for the guy that asks question about the hospital, to me, what I think is needed is a proposal that will introduce their innovations into those hospitals, that if you do this, this is what you will earn. You know, that's just my own.
So again, so like I said, there are more questions that we need to ask. So I see where you're coming from. You are saying a proposal. I'm assuming they probably don't have a relationship already. So again, I'll need more questions. I'll need answers to questions. Does the organization is representing have a relationship with the multiple organizations that is even talking about already?
No, they don't. They don't.
They don't. Oh, okay. That's a different case. Okay, that's a different scenario. Yes, you need your proposal. Yeah, you need your proposal in that case, because you are an external body. The business case is internal. They are not going to release money to you. You are coming with a solution that you can provide to them, and they have to look at what you are presenting to them to agree whether what you are saying is actually right or not as an external person. But with the business case, they are looking at that internally. What can we actually do? Yay?
Yes, noted.
So if you just look at this definition, at least very, very, very nice conversation, and very nice contributions. That was lovely. So if you just put that in words, we are basically trying to say business case is examining a potential market opportunity, generally at the product level. And at that point, you are trying to have a go or no go decision on whether the company should solve a particular market problem by producing a product or not. So you can see the company is trying to decide. The plan, the business plan, is examining business opportunities at the company level. So that's a larger level, a wider level. And we are trying to look at voids within the industry. Also, you also have goals or no go decisions, but that's on a very higher level than dealing with things on the product level. Cool. That was good. Anyway, you can get more information about that in that LinkedIn link there. LinkedIn.com/Paul/ that very long number. 2014-11-28. Oh, that's like a timestamp. That's 2014, the 11th. That's 2014, 28/11, November 2014. And that may have been the time that the person wrote this 6:15 and 50 seconds. And then they put a tag there as well. 422-452-3282. I didn't recognize that before. Interesting. Nice. Okay. That is basically what I've got to say about the business case. And this is where I'm going to give the task that we're going to work on. Just before, while we round up, please, if you just stay on, like I did mention, I got a message before. I'm not particularly sure who sent me the message, but if you just hold on, there's someone that would need to give you some information. I am guessing it's, not sure if it's the sponsor or someone else that's going to give you information. So please, if you just hold on while we round this up. But has this been very beneficial to those on the call? About 7-8 people have gone off. So I'm already getting half of the results. But yeah, well, has this been beneficial at all to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Oh, nice. Okay, that is good. Thank you. Right. So, assignments for everyone. Please, what you'll need to do is to write a business case. So individually, you write a business case, and the business case in this particular scenario is going to be looking at when you think about data within Nigeria, accessibility of data. I'm not sure what your views are, but how easy is it to access data within Nigeria? Public data, and that I'm referring to, obviously, private data is private to people. But how easy is it to access data that's supposed to be public? So that's something I would like you to individually look at. You are not obviously going to be graded on this. The grading really comes in the fact that if you do this, you gain the experience of looking at each and every one of these areas yourself and considering it. Don't try and make it too long, maximum of 10 pages. So whatever you want to do, try and fit it within 10 pages. Or maybe I should have even said 10 slides. Let me say 10 slides instead of 10 pages. 10 PowerPoint slides. So if you do that and try and explore these different areas, things from you have your executive summary, your economic case, your commercial case, your project management case as well. So I've mentioned all 5, right? Your executive summary, your strategic case, your economic case, your commercial case, your project management case as well. And yeah, just look at things from that point of view and try and think of a solution to what we have within Nigeria right now. Whether, first of all, even let us know whether information is easily accessible. If you go, where can you easily find information?
Okay, what is the question so that we can probably identify where to source the information from?
So that's what I said. How easy is it to easily identify information, public information?
I think we should be able to.
Hello.
You want me to give you
This is
an exact problem? It does not happen
Yes.
like that in the real world. Yes?
okay. Hello.
Yes, hi.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to speak to that. I just want to cite a scenario. For example, primary health care data in Nigeria, if you check some of the data available there, you would realize that the data are way outdated. So for policy and decision makers, it's kind of like very hard for them to be able to make decisions based on 2014, 2015 data when we're already in 2018. And most of the time we have issues of either they are not capturing the data or the data is still at the point of capture using the paper method and has not been collated or transmitted to a database. So you have issues like that. So I think what we should do is find a solution that makes the data available for both decision makers and those that want to use it anyhow and are authorized to use it. So I think that's just an example for us.
Yeah, so that's an example from someone that's coming from the health sector industry. Perfect. So I'm not sure if majority of the people there are from the health sector industry. If you are, then that applies to all of you. Some of you might be from different sectors, so you might see things slightly different. So hopefully everyone understands that. And once you do it, if you place it within the BA group on Basecamp, obviously, well, whatever you want to put there would probably is something that can be accessible, that can be seen by others. So put whatever you feel.
Sorry, sir. I'm still here to get the problem.
The problem is, check, in your own opinion, do you think you can easily find public data? As far as public data that you're supposed to have within Nigeria, do you think you can easily find that? If you can, okay, show us why you think you can in a business case format. And if you think you can't, let us see the solutions that you think would actually solve that particular problem, right? And try and look at the economic case, the commercial case, and try and think about how the project should be managed. Does that make things clearer?
Yep.
Yeah. So if you do that, put that on Basecamp, do it individually. Later on, you guys would work as a team, but whatever you put within this individual work will help you a lot when you work as a team. So do this to the best of your ability. There's going to be no grade. I don't believe in that type of grading system right now. It doesn't work. Okay. So any other questions before?
Hope we have access to these materials to enable us follow the process that we've been taught.
Maybe so when you say the process, so what do you want? You want the high level? So I can post a message on the group about the different cases that you need to look at.
Okay, I think that will be fine. But for the video, are we going to get it put on the...
I think the video is always shared. The sponsor generally shares that.
That's
fine. The last one was shared as well.
Yeah, then that's fine. Then so we're expecting you to help put on the telegrams too.
Yes, I'll just put it there that the executive summary
all right.
the case and that. So that'll be a high level. In some cases, maybe I might even put different options there on that.
All right.
So
thank you.
Everyone has started coming back in. Where did you guys go to before? Or maybe these are a different set of people. Right, someone is meant to speak to you all. Cosby, is it you or is it someone else? Someone messaged me. Or was it the sponsor? I guess Cosby is quiet.
Sorry, it's not me, sir. Good evening, sir.
It's
not
not
me.
you. Okay, let me see if it's the sponsor. Because I see more people are coming in now. So those that are coming in now, are you coming in for a certain reason, or maybe was it the internet that logged you out and you were logging back in? Now I'm getting silence. It's usually interesting when that happens. Let me quickly check if he's the one that sent me a message. I think he's the one. I'll put myself on mute. Where is... This is going to be very interesting. Escape from assignments, Unitrick. Oh, so everyone, if you work on that, I guarantee you that will greatly help you. If it means getting somebody to, if you want to speak with others and you guys want to sort of put your heads together, not more than 10 pages. Yeah, not more than 10 pages, so that I can hopefully try and go through all the... All right, so I'm back. So it was the sponsor that sent that message. Cool. So if you just, I think he's going to be coming in any moment now.
I mean,
he is in. So guys, remember the assignment, and please do that so that we can probably look at that in the next class. Okay, I can sign out. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Awesome. I participated in that class as well, and it was brilliant. Awesome. Thank you. Please, esteemed student, please.
Sorry, please. I just want to quickly stop the recording so that doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fine.